Brian Wright and the San Antonio Spurs have just pulled off another masterclass, landing stretch big man Kelly Olynyk from the Washington Wizards in a trade that solves two of the Spurs' hugest issues heading into this season. We have to discuss exactly what happened in this Kelly Olynyk trade, who's going the other way, and why this solves multiple incredible issues for the Spurs as next season is just looking better and better. We got to get into all of it on this episode of Spurs Digest, and we're not going to waste your time. Straight into it, the Washington Wizards are trading Kelly Olynyk to the San Antonio Spurs for Malaki, Branham, Blake Wesley, and a 2026 second round pick, least favorable of Dallas, Philly, and OKC. Sources tell ESPN. And if we go to Shams here, the deal gives the Spurs another stretch big after the free agent signing of Luke Kornet, and Washington receives two more young players as the Wizards continue to add some talent this offseason with potential for increased opportunity along with an expected later second rounder, blah, blah, blah. Look, here's what it is. Look, I wanted to say so deeply that the Spurs robbed the Wizards, but I actually think this is really good for both sides. It makes sense for both sides, and it solves multiple big issues for the Spurs, and we're going to start with Kelly because, look, we're all familiar with Kelly Olynyk. Look at that pretty face. 8.7 points per game, 4.7 boards. He can pass the ball too. If you guys actually didn't know, coming off a career best 42% from the three-point line on pretty high volume. Not to mention, he shot 60%. That's not a typo on corner threes this past year. We'll roll the highlight reel again. A couple little things here, clips of him with the Pelicans. And, you know, I mean, look, he's played for a lot of teams. We'll get into his stats in just a bit. But this, to me, again, the first big issue this solves with the Spurs. And again, I'll dive into a second one later because there is this little part of this trade, not even little part of this trade, this big part of the trade that maybe we're not focusing on as much as the Kelly Olynyk part, because getting into Kelly Olynyk's fit, welcome to San Antonio, Kelly Olynyk, looking throughout his career here, again, 10.7 points with the Pelicans in 20 games where he started last season, right? He shot 44% from three with Toronto in 24 games before that. The dude is just a consistent 10 and 5 machine while shooting around 40% from three. And what else could you possibly ask for? When we're looking at the Spurs depth chart, we've been saying for ages, I mean, look, it's why I brought up Kevin Love in the last video, because this kind of archetype of a stretch 4 or 5, the guy that could play a bit of both, just fits the team so well right now. A team in San Antonio that desperately want some shooting. We don't need a great starter who can shoot is always a good thing, but when we're looking to fill that need for like a third string center or maybe like a third string power forward, second string power forward, a guy that can just eat 16-20 minutes a game just like Kelly Olynyk did, you ideally want him to be able to shoot the three and score the ball a bit, and that's exactly what Kelly Olynyk does. It's the perfect complement to Luke Kornet, 7'2" guy who can block shots. Kelly Olynyk is 6'11" and can knock down the three. So now, some people are questioning whether Kelly will play the 5, Victor will play the 4. I think you're more likely to see Kelly Olynyk play a bit more of the 4, but like, am I crazy in saying this is just an absolute perfect fit for San Antonio? Having Luke Kornet and Kelly Olynyk being able to come off your bench to eat those minutes. If you want to go bigger, you can stick Kelly at the 4, Luke at the 5, or Wemby at the 5, of course, but I'm talking bench units. If you want to go smaller, you can play one of them at center, or just Victor there. You can still run with Harrison Barnes, who might start this year, might be Sochan, right? But just the versatility that it gives this lineup, and finally, that, like, you know, we're talking shooting punch. This is like an elite one, right? As far as big men go, I mean, he plays pretty much all of his minutes at center, but like 42% again from three this past year, 39% the year before, 39 before, 34 the year before that with Detroit, but then 34, 41. His whole career, even in the playoffs, he's been a three-point sniper. So when I'm looking at this team, it is just such a perfect fit, but there's also the added benefit that this is the last year of Kelly Olynyk's contract. It's $13.4 million. We shipped out just under $10 million in this deal, so we're bringing in about $3.5 million-ish in this deal back, 3.5 to 4 million back, which is more than we can accept, or not more than we can accept, I should say. We could accept more than that based on the amount of money we have to work with here. So it makes a ton of sense for San Antonio. Like, honestly, the fit of Kelly Olynyk, like I said, is such a great work from Brian Wright for this team. But it's the other aspect of this trade I want to focus on. I mean, look, we talk all about Kelly Olynyk, but there's a big part of this too, and that's the trading of Branham and Blake Wesley. Now, of course, seeing a lot of the reactions, a lot of people are not super sad to see Malaki Branham go. I believed in him, but it just feels like there was no space for him on the team going forward. A guy who's a score-first guy with defense that just ends up being questionable. not a great fit on the San Antonio Spurs team that is really looking to be, I mean, you don't really need another one of these scorers, especially with the amount of guards ahead of you, right? But Branham gone, but also Blake Wesley. Now, I really like Blake Wesley. I think he could really carve out a role in Washington. Like, just a hustle guy, much better defensively than Malaki Branham, but, you know, they both struggled to score the ball at times. But this is where it gets just so good for San Antonio is, again, looking at the guard depth, bringing in Dylan Harper and having Stephon Castle and even having Julian Champagnie there, who's going to play a bit of the 2, bit of the 3, Devin Vassell. The rotation is just clear now. There's no longer those questions of, what do we do with Malaki Branham and Blake Wesley? That's $10 million that's just going to be stuck behind De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, and Stephon Castle, maybe Vassell or Champagnie on any given night. 2 guys that are just not going to get the minutes to make them worth $5 million in an era of the NBA where, you know, saving money now goes a lot further than it did even 3-4 years ago. So having those guys on the team was a huge question mark going forward, but that is completely relieved. And 2 guys that wouldn't have gotten much run at all. Like we said, this is just such a great trade because it's basically just trading a second-round pick for a guy in Kelly Olynyk that can still put up 10 and 5 and shoot 40% from 3, who can play backup 4, backup 5, he can spot start if you need him to. There's a lot of upside in this trade. And also, again, I just keep going through this. Looking at the cap right now, again, we now open other roster spots so we could sign maybe some sneakier minimum free agent guys or maybe some guys from the summer league, who knows. But also, we're just straight up giving Dylan Harper the reins because now it's like, look, Blake Wesley's not coming for your spot. Malaki Branham's not coming for your spot. Look, your guard rotation now is De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle. That's your primary 3 guards if you're splitting between the 1 and 2. You might go get a 3rd-string point guard now to fill in, which might not be a bad idea. My guess is that the Spurs will look for someone maybe on a veteran minimum contract to come in and play that 3rd-string point guard role behind Fox and Harper/Castle just to ensure them, just like we kind of did with Kornet and Olynyk, but we might go for someone a little lower tier. But to me, this is giving the reins fully to Dylan Harper, which just signifies a new era for San Antonio, right? Like, all these questions, I feel like, just got answered in this one trade. It's like, okay, well, where's the shooting? Well, okay, we got Kelly Olynyk now. He's a 40% three-point shooter on decent volume. Incredible from the corners. Okay. But where's the shot blocking? Where's that backup center? Because Biyombo can't do it. We lost Sandro. Oh, well, there's Luke Kornet. Okay, cool. Well, we got Luke Kornet too. So, but what about these guards, man? We have way too many guards. We have almost $10 million getting eaten up by Malaki Branham and Blake Wesley. Oh, well, they're both gone in the Kelly Olynyk trade. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, well, what else do we give up in terms of draft capital? Oh, just a 2nd-round pick. Great. So what is the hole now? Just a 3rd-string guard? Like, I think right now this roster looks about as good as it can. I think De'Aaron Fox, I don't know if, like, ESPN is weird, though. Again, I know a lot of you comment on Jeremy Sochan being a 3rd-stringer. He's probably going to start this year, but just ignore that. It'll probably be De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, and Victor Wembanyama. Coming off the bench will probably be, like, Dylan Harper, Julian Champagnie, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, Luke Kornet. That's an incredible bench core right there. And then you still have Kelly Olynyk. Like, that's the thing. Harrison Barnes, I don't want to say he becomes expendable because he was such a good 3-point shooter too. I don't think you can bring in a guy like Olynyk and then just give up on Barnes. But we have versatility here now, and Barnes' contract is also movable. Kelly Olynyk's contract is movable. I think they'll both be very valued come the end of the season, not just for other playoff teams looking for shooting from that 4/5 position, but also us, because we're going to be a playoff team this year. Having these guys is so valuable at that time of year. I am beyond excited for this. Absolute masterclass by Brian Wright and the Spurs. I could not be happier with how this offseason is going so far. Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe some of you really liked Branham and Wesley and you completely disagree with me, and I'd love to hear from you as well. That's why it's so great. We chat with everyone here, all you wonderful people. But that'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. By the way, you made it to the end of the video and you're part of the 70% that's not subscribed to the channel. We have a massive goal of 10,000 subscribers before the season starts. So hey, you made it almost 9 minutes into this video. I kept your attention that long. I hope we earned it by this point. If not, hey, that's no problem either. But I hope to see you back here sometime soon. I've been your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you in the next one.